Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to reveal something that is extremely shocking and electrifying. What's behind this box is gonna shock you, literally. You want the honors?
I think you'd be better at introducing. I'm about as interesting as paint drying on a wall.
The 400 from Barra! This is a new 400E from Barra Airguns. This is the first ever full electric AEG shooting 177.
Out of the box, you're going to receive the rifle as you see it here. It's got the adjustable buttstock. You've got your 50 round magazine. You've got a mock suppressor. Comes with flip up sights. It's made from CNC machined aluminum, so you have a very realistic weight and look and feel to the gun, so that's definitely a big plus. And you'll also have a speed loader that makes loading the magazine easier than it would be by hand. What does not come with this gun is the battery or the charger. We're leaving that up to the customer to kind of pick and choose. A lot of people may already have batteries that will work for them. So if you're in airsoft guns or if you're into, RC type hobbies, you're probably already going to have some batteries that will work.
Right.
With it being similar to, the AR style platform, you have all sorts of options to customize your gun. So along the top, you've got a full length Picatinny rail. Along either side, as well as the bottom, you have M-LOK slots on the handguard.
So cool. Yeah, there's lots of room to play around with accessories. I'm gonna grab one of these ones that we have customized and you'll see how awesome it is. So here's a 400E. We had custom Cerakoted, and you can tell with the M-LOK slides we mounted a light here and then we got a red dot on top. And I mean, the feel and the look of this thing is, if you were to take this to the range, I bet, guys would be like, oh, is that a 5.56? Is that too, wait, what is that, So
they'd be surprised at how quiet it was, for sure.
Yeah. So it's really cool that you can take that straight out of the box and you can turn it into something that's as realistic as an actual AR platform.
So yeah, another thing with the, how realistic it looks, you really have to think about your safety. Just because it's a BB gun, it doesn't mean somebody else is going to make that assumption. Right. So don't be using these in places where it's illegal to shoot BB guns. Which is most cities have ordinances against shooting air guns in city limits. Just be very careful and make sure you know your local laws and follow all orders that you're given while in possession of this air gun.
So with this really cool platform and everything that comes with it, what's the price point? What are we looking at to get shooting with an extra mag, the gun itself, and maybe a battery?
Okay, so the gun itself is going to be $400. The magazines are going to be $20 a piece.
Nice. Which is like half of our
competitors, right? Yeah, for sure, definitely. So yeah, you can stock up on magazines and you just load them all at once with the speed loader, throw them in your pockets or pouches, whatever you got. And
fanny packs.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, you're looking at $20 for the magazine. As far as batteries, I bought 2 of these for like $28, and that's enough to keep you shooting quite a bit. Right. So like I was saying, I was getting over 1,000 rounds per charge with one battery. So having 2, that you stay shooting all the time.
Event,
you're charged up all the time with 2
right.
batteries. The B3 style chargers are usually around $10.
Okay.
So
you're looking around $450 for an extra mag, batteries.
Definitely, yeah. Some decent BBs. So yeah, and then from there it costs pennies to shoot. Recharging the batteries, a couple cents at the most. And again, steel BBs are very inexpensive, even when you're buying the better quality ones that we recommend. The cost per pull of the trigger is very low.
Nice. All right, so you said that these guns come with a speed loader. So let's talk about, there's a couple different styles of BBs. We have copper, we have zinc, and just loading a speed loader, loading a magazine, and what's best to be shot through the 400E.
Sure. So the first thing you want to make sure that you're using is quality steel BBs. You do not want to use the frangible BBs. Anything that's non-magnetic you don't want to use. Okay. You also want to use BBs that come from a fairly well-known manufacturer. You don't want to be using things that are of questionable quality. I also recommend steering away from the copper-plated BBs. For some reason, the outer diameter of these is a lot more inconsistent. I've had jams with copper-plated BBs.
Oh, wow.
So I would recommend using these zinc-plated BBs for best results.
Nice.
And so basically to load your magazine, you're going to begin by loading your speed loader. And one important thing with these is to leave a bit of space. You'll see there's these lines here.
Yeah.
You really don't want to take it too much past the 200 mark. You want to make sure that there's room to shake these around.
Okay.
And that will keep them from getting jammed up. So basically to start, you're going to push down that follower until it catches. And then you're going to put the speed loader in. And you're just basically going to shake it to clear any jams and to make sure that column is filled. And you're going to do that until the magazine is full.
Nice.
So once it stops taking BBs, you're now loaded.
Okay.
You're ready to put this in your gun and get to firing.
Awesome. That's pretty easy.
It is. It's pretty easy. Now, one thing to keep in mind is these steel BBs do have a tendency to ricochet. So you got to be careful with your targets. You do not want to be shooting at something that's going to sling them back to you.
Right.
You should wear eye protection. Be mindful of windows.
Well,
So,
I will
yeah.
tell you, me and Jared, we took this thing out to the range, just shot it and had some fun with it. And with the camera equipment, we almost get a longer zoom lens, so we're like far enough back just in case there is anything that ricochets. Even
For
shooting,
sure.
you know, through targets, you don't know if it's going to hit something behind you and come bouncing right back. So
Right.
we were like we made sure we had, you know, safety glasses and we were at a distance with the camera gear.
For sure.
And so what kind of battery powers this rifle?
So the batteries that power this rifle are going to be lithium polymer batteries like this one here. They should have a Dean's connector.
Okay.
They'll also have this balance lead on them for charging these properly.
Okay.
So,
And if you buy them without a Dean's connector, they make adapters for different
they
batteries.
sure do, yeah. Like I've got this battery here. It's got an XT60 connector on it,
Okay.
but then I have an XT60 adapter to
Two
Dean's. So if you're into any other hobbies where you might have some lithium ion or lithium polymer rather batteries, you can sometimes use these adapters.
Okay. And
So-
what's the average cost of a 11 point?
So yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're only using a 3-cell
Okay.
battery, which is a nominal 11.1 volts. And you want to make sure that it's at least a 25C rating on it. Make sure it can drive the current that's needed by this gun.
And you can get up to 1,000 shots with just one charge.
Yeah, certainly. You know, obviously as your batteries age, the capacity is going to go down. The more money you spend on the battery, the happier you're going to be with your gun.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't take an expensive battery. Those two batteries I bought are great. I'm getting over 1,000 shots with those.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome.
for sure.
And so when you connect the battery to the gun, you just is
Right.
it in the buttstock or?
So it is. You'll just remove this cover, and then you have the lead, and you'll just plug your battery in. There's only one way it can go in. You don't have to worry about connecting it backwards. You just put the wires back in there, and you slide the cover on. So yeah, once you got the battery in there, you're charged up and ready to go. You don't have to worry about CO2 cylinders, not puncturing or not sealing. You don't have to worry about PCP compressors or anything like that. The electricity is very, very convenient.
Okay, so we have a couple of different chargers here. What is going to be the different? You say someone could buy a lower end battery or a higher end battery.
Right.
You know, with these different chargers and different styles of batteries, what's going to be most important where someone can expect better performance or, you know, longer shooting times, stuff like that?
For sure. So the first thing that you need to keep in mind with batteries and chargers is to read the manufacturer's guidelines on how to use their particular battery and charger. These batteries have incredible amounts of energy in them, and when you mishandle them, you risk fire, explosion, etc. So there's a whole list of cautions here. These batteries will usually come with some additional pamphlets read through that stuff, you don't want to have a house fire.
Yeah.
They do make fireproof pouches for charging these as well as storing, and that probably is the safest practice. So definitely follow all rules that come with your battery, same with the charger, because both of them, especially combined, the wrong battery on the wrong charger, or if you're trying to charge at too fast of a rate, can end up with pretty bad results.
Right.
So
that's crazy.
They do make some fancier chargers like this. Sometimes you can recover batteries that have been mistreated. You can also charge some batteries at a higher rate with that style of charger, but it's really not necessary. These B3 style chargers honestly work really well. They're not the fastest charging, but you're going to be able to charge one of these batteries, within an hour to 2 hours. Right. So depending on the capacity. Okay. And these B3 style chargers, they do come with some different ratings. So, but these are generally very low current charging, and all you do is you just plug in the balance lead, and it takes care of the rest.
Nice.
So
most of the batteries will come with the balance lead.
Yes, they will come with the balance lead. These do have to be properly balance charged in order to function correctly. And then these lights will come on. They'll be red as it's charging, and then once all three turn green, then you're charged.
Good to go.
So.
And is that, so say with a competitor you have to shoot CO2, is that over a period of time? I imagine you always have to buy CO2. So buying one battery in relation to buying multiple CO2, does eventually the gun pay for itself with that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So with CO2 cylinders, you have to use 2 of them at a time. Yeah. And in my experience with CO2 guns that are in this similar style, you're lucky to get 3 full magazines worth. Sometimes you can push out the 4. The more you use full auto, the less CO2, capacity you're going to have. So yes, over a period of time, you're going to definitely break even, and then the gun begins to pay for itself.
Man. What cool technology, and I'm surprised no one's came out with it yet. And it's 2022, they got flying cars now.
People have talked about wanting an electric powered BB gun. One of the things, of course, was battery technology, right. And then somebody being willing to step out and take the risk and actually do what people have talked about. And so,
and to be able to push a projectile close to 400 feet per second.
There is some additional engineering, because that is a lot more power than what you find in the electric airsoft guns. So yes, we did have to do some stuff with the gearbox and with the loading mechanism to make that happen.
Yeah.
So
well, it looks and feels amazing. It's just we featured this gun at SHOT Show, and it was just really cool that the guys that shot a regular AR platform, they were like, man, I could almost get one of these for my kid, and they would be out at the range feeling like they were actually shooting an actual, gun. So yeah, it's definitely a good tool, with adult supervision, to teach somebody who's younger proper gun handling and everything, the basic mechanics of an AR platform. And how cool would you feel as a kid to be able to be shooting that next to your dad? I'd be the coolest kid on the block, for sure. All of our other competitors are all CO2. This is the first ever electric, and a lot of times the CO2 is right in the mag. So yeah, exactly. So it makes the magazines a lot more expensive, a lot more heavy than these are. These are much more similar to a real AR-15 magazine. So with more storage in the mag, does it hold a larger capacity? It sure does, yeah. We actually are able to get 50 rounds in here, so wow. Spend a lot more time shooting and a lot less time reloading. What are other competitors, what's their mag? They're typically around 25, so we're about double that. And at full auto, that's like the pull of a trigger, right? Right, exactly. And so that's another thing that we could talk about is rate of fire. So the CO2 rifles will generally start at a faster feet per second. So they might start out at 450 feet per second. As you shoot CO2, especially as you rapidly shoot CO2, the CO2 cylinders cool. And when that happens, the pressure drops. Right. And so you start out fast, and then the speed just plummets. Right. I've seen it start out at 400 and very quickly drop down into 200 feet per second. So not great for power, not great for accuracy. Not that they're intended necessarily for power and accuracy, but that's quite a drop even at a close range.
One of the benefits of the electric platform is you don't see that drop. So the top end speed is going to be lower in this gun. It's typically between 380 up to 410, but most of them are going to shoot very reliably in the 380 to 390 range. And that's for the whole time you're using that battery.
It's not fluctuating.
Right, exactly. So, you know, if you like to do like I do and just, you know, rainbow those BBs out at 50 yards and see what you can hit,
right.
You know, you're not having to compensate for, you know, one shot being 400 and, you know,
higher,
exactly. The rate of fire on this is a little slower than what you see on the competition. It shoots 580 rounds per minute. The competition shoots 1,400 rounds per minute. So as you can imagine, about the time you pull the trigger, you're out of ammo with those. This, you can actually control the burst a lot better. So you can engage multiple targets and not have to worry about reloads.
Man, that's awesome. All right, now some final thoughts on the 400E. Obviously, we went through a lot of information in this video, but we just kind of really want to focus on the differences and the overall cost after, you know, instead of buying CO2 and only purchasing one battery, and the low maintenance of the item. Let's just hear some of the final thoughts on the 400.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the 400 compared to most of the other competitors out there, I mean, this looks and feels like the real gun. You know, there's very, very little plastic that's used. So, you know, that alone justifies the price difference, especially if aesthetics means a lot to you. You're going to be very happy with how this gun looks and feels and handles. In terms of the practical side of things, you know, if you're wanting to shoot on a budget, yes, you're going to spend more for this gun initially, but then you got to look at the long-term cost of what is it going to cost you to buy extra magazines, what is it going to cost you over the life of the gun, you know, to buy those CO2 cylinders. When you're using 2 cylinders per magazine and you're getting maybe 100 rounds if you're lucky, you're burning through 2 cylinders at a very quick rate, especially if you like to shoot like I do.
Yeah.
You're going to go broke quick. So yeah, that's another real benefit of this is, you know, cost pennies to recharge, and those batteries last for many cycles.
So how long would it take you to pay for this gun?
Well,
as much as you shoot.
In testing, you know, some of the early guns, I was putting, you know, 20,000 plus rounds through in about a week's time.
In a week?
Yeah.
Jeez.
If I was doing that, if we had developed a CO2 gun, I'd be asking for a pay raise.
Oh, no joke. Wow. That's crazy. And the rifle does come with a 1-year warranty, so it's that's kind of cool, I think.
For sure. And anybody that, you know, long-term, anybody that's familiar with airsoft gearboxes, while there are some differences, there's enough similarities. You're going to feel at home working on this gearbox. So,
very cool.
Yeah, I can definitely, I know I could personally maintain this gun for many years to come, warranty or otherwise. So,
well, if you want to get this one-of-a-kind rifle in your hands, go to barraairguns.com and pick you up one today. And always remember, get out
and shoot Barra.